What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Friday. This is Casey from In the Basement for Next Step and K. In the Basement podcast, of course, I am one half of the ultra dope team, KC from In the Basement crew. Um, Also, hopeless Jet fan, hopeless Clippers fan, Maryland Terrapins fan. You name it. You name the team. I'm probably a fan of that team anyway. Actually, this weekend, be sure to get your fantasy lineup if you have any Jets players or Minnesota Vikings players that are playing on Sunday because they actually play early, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm just letting you guys know. Shout out to everybody whose fantasy football teams I'm on, Gridiron Gurus. Also, shout out to Goodfellas Football League, Fantasy Football League, and also shout out to the In the Basement podcast 2024 fantasy football league as well. I am getting trashed in each and every league. I think I have Anthony Richardson in one of my leagues, and he's not playing, so that's a zero right there. This is worse than just not coming into class and just getting an F. That's basically what it feels like. But how's everybody doing today? It's been a hard week for everybody. It's been a hard week just for people who are in NBA circles. Also, it's been a hard week for people who grew up watching certain TV fathers. The great John Amos. Of course, we know John Amos not only just for his role being portrayed on as James Evans Sr. on Good Times, but also he's also been like a parental figure in either most of the movies or sitcoms that he's played in. Also, he was for those coming up in the 70s and 80s. He was also Kuta Kinte as a grown man in Roots as well. Shout out to Alex Haley, may he rest in peace. So just as James Evans, he's actually one. I mean, if you want to go down as some of the great TV dads out there. He's actually he goes to the top five, one of the great TV dads in like television history, whether you're black or white. Of course, you have the great fatherly figures. You have the Uncle Phils. You have the Carl Winslows. I mean, no disrespect, you even throw Dr. Huxtable in there too, despite what he did. Offset. Love the art. You don't have to like the actor. Also, we're going to get into the great Dikembe Mutombo with his legacy as well. Not only just being as a player, but off the court as a humanitarian and a scholar. Who also passed away earlier this week and maybe a little bit of last week, Chris Christopherson. Now, if you don't know that name, Chris Christopherson, he is actually a singer and songwriter and an actor. Now, Chris Christopherson actually was Whistler. If you guys are into like the comic books, into like the Blade, franchise and things of that sort, he's actually Whistler. He's actually the guy, if in the Blade comic book, he's the guy that actually took in Blade and trained him, and helped him, helped him, with that line between, a vampire and, and a human. So, I mean, if you read the Blade if you read the Blade comic book or watch the Blade series, there's Blade 1, Blade 2, Blade Trinity, even though I think Blade Trinity was the worst one, Blade 2 was the best one to me. But yeah, definitely take a look. See, also, if you don't know who Blade is, actually just go see Deadpool and Wolverine. He actually makes a cameo. Spoiler alert! Makes a great cameo in there, and great lines, and just a great movie altogether. I just can't wait for that to get on Disney Plus. But like I said, also, Chris Christopherson, as well as being a singer, songwriter, and actor. Also, he was in the military as well. He was actually an Army Rangers captain, as a matter of fact. So, Mr. Christopherson, thank you for your service. Also, he was a singer. He has a couple songs. I know he did a couple songs with Barbra Streisand, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. But yeah, we've been losing, a lot of iconic figures over the last couple weeks, and also the great Dikembe Mutombo. Of course, me growing up, in the 80s, we knew about, Dikembe Mutombo, and, the Hoya paranoia that was going on. He just pretty much took on right after Patrick Ewing. And he was actually one half of, one of the best front lines in Big East history because you had Alonzo Mourning, and then you had Dikembe Mutombo. So it's pick your poison. You want your shot swatted by Mourning or you want your shot swatted by Mutombo. They were known as the Angry Brothers in the Big East. They were one of the only tandems to get I think is Big East Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so here's quick rundown on Mr. on Mount Mutombo. No man shall fly in the house of Mutombo. Finger wag was iconic in the NBA. Every time Dikembe blocked a shot, there was a finger wag. There was a no, 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 no. There was that, and then also too, just remember, even though he was primarily known on defense, when he first came to the league, he was just dunking everything. When he played for the Denver Nuggets, when they had like players like Orlando Woolridge, Michael Adams, Alfonso Ellis, things of that sort. Then I remember their Cinderella run in the '94 playoffs when they beat number one seeded Seattle Supersonics. They had loaded Seattle Supersonics team with like Kemp, Gill, Gary Payton, Ricky Pierce, Sam Perkins. They just had a loaded team, and everybody thought that Seattle would just roll all the way, to the finals, to play against, probably the Houston Rockets, the Western Conference Finals, but man, like Denver told him something else. Basically, that was a great series. I remember watching that series. I'm just like, hold up, what's going on here? And they had like just a whole bunch of, I'm not gonna say great players, but they had like some great role players. Mutombo being the star, but you had Reggie Williams. You also had Brian Williams, aka Bison Daylight, may he rest in peace. Also, you had Robert Pack. I said LaFonso Ellis. Let me see, coming off the bench, I think you had Mahmoud Raouf, I believe, coming off the bench. No, just a host of other players that were just, they just didn't take no for answer. I believe Rodney Rogers played for the Nuggets around that time too, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but yeah, I just remember like just Mutombo just swatting everything in Game Five. This is back then when the playoff series went to Game Five. Um, you had to play. You had to play. What's up, B? Shout out to Brandon. Actually, I had a pretty, shout out to B. We were running today on Friday. I believe I came out. I think I won about 3 or 4 games. I think I'm gonna say three. I'm gonna say I went 3-2. So shout out. Shout out to those Eagles too, because I'm not sure what's going on over there in Philadelphia town. I think just a lot of accountability being thrown around, and nobody's not sharing blame for the loss. And for most Eagles fans, it beats like that sometimes. Sometimes Superman gets hit with that high speed kryptonite. It beats like that sometimes. Look, it's only 2-2. You guys are only 2-2. A lot of teams are 2-2, which is good. Um, and you guys just build off the bye. Hopefully, AJ Brown can get back and get back healthy again because you definitely need him. And I think once AJ Brown comes back, I think Jalen Hurts will return back to his old self because sometimes you need your number one wide out, to get ready and everything. And also, shout out, speaking of quarterback, shout out to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers somewhat took quote unquote accountability for his performance, against Denver. Still kind of mad about that, because we could have did better. But hopefully, this is a critical game for the Jets. Hopefully, we can go across the pond and we can get that win. Maybe we could do a couple upsets or something like that. I'm just hoping for the best, from my lips to God's ears. In the Basement Podcast, 302-844-8275. On Instagram, you can hit us up at in_dub_basement_podcast. YouTube, In the Basement Podcast. Also on Facebook, In the Basement Podcast. Has sound so good, you got to name it twice. What up, everybody? Hit that subscribe and like button. And also let me give you a quick rundown of the great Dikembe Mutombo. For those who don't know, you should know. In college, he was two-time All Big East. Also, he was also two-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. I think the only other person who got that as Defensive Player of the Year was Allen Iverson, if I remember correctly. Shout out to AI, Georgetown. Those were good years in 95, 96. Also, he was in 1991 Big East All Tournament team. Also, he was in 91 Associated Press, United Press International third team All American. That's big things. After that, he was the fourth overall pick by the Denver Nuggets in the 1991 draft. Also, he was part of the 91-92 NBA All Rookie team. That 91 draft was pretty stocked. They got some notable Notable names that come to mind, like you have like LeBradford Smith. Shout out to LeBradford Smith, who gave Mike 35, and then Mike gave him 35 and one half. Stacey Augman also was in that draft. Dale Davis was in that draft. The great Billy Owens from Pennsylvania was also in that draft. Shout out. Terrell Brandon from the University of Oregon. Steve Smith from Michigan State. Kenny Anderson from G Tech. This is right after he broke off Danny Hurley with the between the legs around the back move and then scoop layup shot. Yeah, which had Dick Vitale going crazy. Yeah, there was some great names in there. Also, quiet as kept, another name that most people know from Philadelphia, especially in their Temple days, Shake and Bacon Mark Macon, who got drafted by the Denver Nuggets, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he played for Denver as well. Didn't really stick in the league like that. Then he got traded. Wait a minute. I think he got drafted by the Pistons, and then somewhere he started playing for the Nuggets. So, you know, um, also on top of that, Mutombo was a two-time NBA rebounding champ, three-time All NBA, three-time blocks champion. Also, he was a four-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year, six-time All NBA defensive team, eight-time NBA All Star. Number 55 is actually retired by the Denver Nuggets and Atlanta Hawks, no doubt. And he played center for the Nuggets, the Hawks, the Philadelphia 76ers when he went to the finals, the New Jersey Nets when they were in the playoffs, the Houston Rockets, and the New York Knicks. So definitely a rest in peace to this from here from In the Basement podcast. Boom, excuse me. Shout out to everyone else that's listening here to other podcasts that we're down with. Shout out to the Black Psychologist podcast. Shout out to SB Talk Sports, Real Takes Over Fake Debates. Shout out to Get Your Bars Up Media. Also, Teased by Smiley. Shout out to LaShawn, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And just shout out to everybody that's listening. So, but Matumbo, you know what? Like when he came out and he was playing for the Nuggets, I mean, a lot of people were just like, "This is back then when the NBA was more defensive." So the Tumble like pretty much fit right in, especially for that Denver team because the running joke around the league was you call them the Denver Nuggets because they don't have any D. I guess you want to pause on that one, so I'll pause right there for you. But yeah, I mean, he was pretty much a defensive anchor for that team. While let me see, I'm trying to figure out who was the coach at that time. Was it Doug Moe was the coach? Yeah, I think it was Doug Moe, and I think Bickerstaff came in, and then he pretty much went from there. But they had a pretty good team. I mean, their team was very good. Like especially that '94 team was awesome. They held their own, even though they beat Seattle. They held their own against Utah. Utah was a different beast back then. But they made some noise, and now like look at Denver now. Denver is now they're getting championships. But I don't think that could have happened without Dikembe like anchoring the franchise. Because over the years like Denver was really really bad. Like once Dikembe went to Atlanta, Atlanta got better. Per se. And I still remember Dikembe's record night, his career high when I think he had. Ooh, I think he must have had like 25 points and like 28 rebounds or something like that, and like five blocks or something like that. Look it up. I'll get it. I'll get it a little bit later, and I'll put it. I'll put it in the chat. But yeah, the but rest in peace to the great the Kimbe Mutombo. And also off the court, just a wonderful charitable. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Mutombo. Even like even his opponents wouldn't say anything bad about Mutombo. I mean, most of the time, usually, most of his opponents they would try to dunk on Mutombo. Now, 9 times out of 10, it really wouldn't work. A couple times, Mutombo got crushed on a couple times, something nasty. But you're in the NBA, you're gonna get crunched on. It is what it is. In any game, any level, like you're gonna get crossed up, you're gonna get burned, you're gonna get scorched a couple times, like today. We were playing pickup, and shout out to my man Keith, aka Cap Alpha Keith. Yeah, I was getting lit up today. Not because I couldn't stop him. It's just a simple fact that I was just getting lit up. Sometimes it just beats like that. Sometimes what you're doing is not working, and you just have to see your way through. But on the flip side, looking at the jar half full, we actually won those two games back to back. So usually the rule is in GFS, shout out to the GFS runs, you win two games in a row, you sit one. So, and that's what I did. I got my two games for the day. I'm good. Anything else is a bonus. So, shout out to the guys at the run. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Um, Looking back on the game last night, Atlanta Bucks game was good. I really thought that that the Bucks were actually going to capitalize and win off of that, even though they had a couple of chances to win, especially when they got into overtime. Also, I want to say shout out and congratulations to the great Matt Ryan, Pennsylvania's own Matt Ryan, aka Penn Charter's own Matt Ryan. Had He was in the Ring of Honor, in the Atlanta Falcons Ring of Honor. Shout out to that, and also shout out to Penn Charter too. A lot of great people were at Penn Charter. Shout out to Brianna Butler. Hopefully, we get a chance to get to your tournament. Just give us some more information. Hopefully, I can get down there and probably either play in it or donate to it, whichever the case may be, however you want it. Yeah, definitely a great game last night. I feel like a horse is behind because I didn't put Mike Evans in my lineup, and Mike Evans had every bit of like 20 something odd points. I think he scored. I think he scored like twice. I think he scored twice. And he had like 100 something yards. Man, it's not my week this week. I might just chalk this whole week up for fantasy football. But the flip side to that is usually when my fantasy football teams, when they're losing, usually my teams in real life are winning. So hopefully this polarity will work out over there in London. Hopefully my Jets can like score the upset. I got my Jets winning. For some odd reason, I just got them winning. Not because I'm a Jets fan, but I just, Minnesota's been hot for a while now. And I don't think they're going to be undefeated but for so long. And the same thing happened with the Eagles last year. Shout out to the Eagles. With the Eagles being undefeated, then the Jets came in and ruined the party. So hey, I think the Minnesota Vikings actually need this. You need to, you know, no, there's not going to be a team like the 72 Dolphins. I'm sorry. So hopefully the 72 Dolphins can actually have a some type of ceremony with me, and hopefully we can pray for them to lose. So I'm just being a hater. So on with the program. Coming up now, this is going to be my in the basement starter Recitum, week 5. For week 5, teams that have week 5 buys, the Tennessee Titans, Philadelphia Eagles, and the Detroit Lions. If you have any of these teams on defense in your lineup, you're going to get a big fat 0. Or if you didn't get a chance to get any of your players out this lineup this week, whether the Titans, Eagles, Detroit Lions, whether it's A.J. Brown, Ramon St. Ra, whether it's Kyron Williams, whoever the case may be, whoever it is, just get them out your lineup because they're not playing this week. So we're going to start with the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks that I would sit this week, unfortunately, even though he's on my favorite team, Aaron Rodgers against Minnesota. Actually, I'm not going to be starting him, unfortunately, just because of your bad performance last week, and I don't know how the travel is going to affect your knee on Sunday. So I'm definitely going to I'm gonna pass on you because your numbers are probably going to be low. Hopefully, we're still going to win the game. I hope you're going to be throwing darts and lasers. Hopefully, you're going to just do the opposite of what I just said, and you're going to come through with the win. Also, I'm definitely sitting Dak Prescott against Pittsburgh. This is going to be a ground and pound game I believe they play it on Sunday night on NBC. Yeah, that's going to be a grinded out type game. They're playing at Heinz Field, so it gets real dangerous for these pretty teams to come through at Heinz Field. To get the uniform dirty a couple times. I don't think some of these quarterbacks like that. Also, I'm definitely sitting Sam Darnold against the Jets. For some reason, the travel is just going to play a part in the Minnesota's offense. So this is where the Jets we can actually counteract, and we can actually ground and pound this thing. Pause, and we can get the win. Hopefully that happens. Also, I'm sitting Caleb Williams against Carolina for some odd reason. I don't know if Caleb Williams is going to show off or he's going to be bad. It's man, I mean, they're playing at home. Carolina is bad, of course, but for some reason, Carolina just might find a way to win, and Caleb Williams will just have like a subpar game, which will, or he might be trying to do too much, and it'll turn out to be a subpar game. Like I know, like whereas I know where his mind is at in regards to like producing, but for some reason it just might be an overkill, and it just might just ruin the whole thing. So, but that's my quarterbacks that I would be sitting if you have these quarterbacks. I don't know. It's totally up to you. This is my honest opinion. This is how I think it's going to go. For these running backs, definitely sitting Ezekiel Elliott. For some odd reason, this is like the third time he's been on the list. The reasons why are just same from last week, and I don't think he's going to like produce against this run heavy defense that Pittsburgh has. Also, I'm sitting Samaj Perlin for New Orleans. They're actually playing. Excuse me, they're actually playing against New Orleans. I don't think so. New Orleans has a good run defense, even though they don't have a good secondary, but they do have a good run defense. And I don't think, and I believe like that Kansas City is ripe for an upset. So most of these 4-0 teams, they're ripe for an upset. They're going down this week. I don't think there's going to be any 4-0. There's not going to be any 5-0 teams this week. That's just Casey's prediction this week. Also, Zamir White for the Las Vegas Raiders against Denver. That team Vegas is already in disarray, especially with this Devontae Adams stuff that's taken over mostly all the NFL airwaves. Yeah, I expect it's going to be run heavy. And the load is going to be shared pretty much. So it's sort of like getting a consistent amount of touches and runs. It's gonna be spread out among like probably three running backs, and also Jaleel McLaughlin against Las Vegas. I don't see anything happening with that either. So I'm definitely going to sit. I don't know. I'm not going to sit him per se because he's actually on one of my teams. So I'm actually kind of on the fence with that. Now these wideouts, definitely sit these wideouts. Definitely sit out Jalen Waddle because, like I said, Tua hasn't come back, so they haven't got that rhythm yet. Michael Wilson, excuse me, for the Cardinals against San Francisco because most of those throws are going to be going to Marvin Harrison Jr. Tank Dell against Houston. Tank Dell's not going to he's not going to see the light of day with that Houston secondary guarding him. Also, Alan Lazard against Minnesota. For some odd reason, I see Alan Lazard being productive, like in the first quarter, maybe getting 3 and 4 touches. That's about it. And after that, it's going to get swept down. And of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, of course, for Detroit because they have a bye. Tight ends that I'm going to be sitting, of course, Sam Laporta for the bye. Whoever your tight end is for Tennessee, Philadelphia, Detroit, or the Chargers, definitely sit them because they have a bye this week. I'm definitely sitting Zach Ertz. For some odd reason, Zach Ertz hasn't been productive since like week 1 against Cleveland. It's just going to get worse. Mark Andrews for Cincinnati. I'm definitely going to sit him again too because he was actually a high drafted tight end, and he hasn't produced either. And then especially with this division rival, anything can go wrong with these, and there's going to be a whole lot of like running. Basically, it's not going to be very pass happy unless Lamar Jackson just starts really targeting him. And from what I've heard, and most rumblings and like in the locker room, I heard like they're not like on the same page for right now. I think Mark Andrews is starting to complain about not getting touches. He hasn't complained to the media, but you can tell by his body language that he's not getting. He's starting to run and block and then just like stop. You don't want that in your tight end because you need your tight end to block for you too as well. And also, Dalton Schultz for Buffalo, or against Buffalo. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't know. That's gonna be just pass happy. That's gonna be pass happy. It's pretty much going to the receivers. The Stephen Diggs is definitely going to try to show out, for Josh Allen, especially with Josh Allen going back and forth. With the comments talking about, well, it's okay. Our team is good. Like we really are not worried about, what's his name. We shall remain nameless. And those shots were pointed at Diggs because what they're saying is Diggs was, disruptive. So what's going to happen is I'm sure C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, they're going to be like, listen, you heard what the dude was saying about me and whatnot. Setting subliminal shots. And I want to let them know that like we don't need them. It wasn't you who made me great. I was already great, So, Yeah, so I don't think Dalton Schultz is going to be getting the ball that much, especially in this must see TV matchup against the Bills and the Houston Texans. I believe they're playing in Houston too, so this is going to be a must see TV game. I think that game comes on at 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Not too sure. But yeah, that's pretty much my fantasy. For all those, for all those I didn't mention, they should be good to go. Another one of my sleepers is Jared Judy. For some odd reason, Jared Judy has been producing. Um, he's actually one of my go tos in my flex. He's not my wide out one or two. He's actually my flex guy. So definitely going to stick with him. Everything is good. Also, shout out to the NBA too. The NBA is actually playing overseas right now. I believe Denver is playing right now. Denver and the Celtics, I believe they're playing right now. Shout out to Russell Westbrook. He actually scored his first couple points with Denver. Congratulations. Can't wait to see how that dynamic is going to work out, during the regular season. Boston's looking good as ever. Jalen Brown is just coming down the lane, slashing. Pretty much, it's pretty much a "I told you so" gesture, basically. Like he's still that dude. Um, so yeah, actually coming up next, I'm gonna do predictions and scores. Predictions and scores are going to start right up. We're going to get right into it with the New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. This is no home or away. This is action in London at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My take on it is, which Aaron Rodgers are we going to get this year? This Sunday, excuse me. I've heard there's been some back and forth with the coach, and they're not getting along. He's undermining the coaches' plays, things of that sort. So I don't know which Aaron Rodgers are we going to get. Are we going to get MVP Aaron Rodgers, somewhat like Aaron Rodgers, or but I'm still mad about that ugly performance that we had. But don't be fooled about it, because I don't know, for some odd reason I always see my Jets also, pulling off an upset, on the road of all places. Um, my score for this, even though it sounds crazy, my score for this game for the upset: Jets 20, Vikings 17. It's all going to be based on the Jets defense. Sauce Gardner versus Justin Jefferson. I like that. I like that matchup. I will definitely pay to see that matchup. Next game up is the Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. Um, I remember a year ago, this wouldn't have happened if they didn't make that trade go through. So this is the start of it all, the genesis of it, whatever you want to call it. Chicago's going to show off, and shout out to Larry's brother, Daryl. No sorry behind Bears. Shout out to Reverend Pastor Sean, also a Bears fan. I don't know why, but he's Chi-Town born, Chi-Town bred. I got Chicago winning this, winning by a lot, as a matter of fact. They're going to go over 500, and even on top of that, they're pretty much going to drop a 30 burger on top of that. So I got the Panthers 16 and the Bears 33. Next game up is the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is going to be a tough, hard fought, division game in that grit and grind AFC North. Um, Now the ground game for Beatmore is vicious. Now I also see Baltimore winning, and I also see by the second half the secondary is going to be making all types of business decisions whether or not we're going to tackle, Derrick Henry with a separated shoulder, or we're going to get ran over or stiff armed. So I got, I have the Ravens winning by 7 in Cincinnati, as a matter of fact. Ravens 27, Bengals 20. Oh, shut up! This just in. The Boston Celtics actually beat the Denver Nuggets over there, and I think they're playing over there in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Peyton Pritchard had 21 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. The Joker had 14 points, 2 assists, and 8 rebounds, and limited action. Um, let's see, Peyton Pritchard with 21. Yeah, pretty good game. I'll get the rest of the box score for you in a couple moments. Next game up is Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. This is one of those must see TV games. This is pretty much one of the first games of the game of the day. This might be the ones if you have like NFL NFL Plus on your app or on your tablet or iPad or your MacBook, whatever the case may be. Um, this might be the game you want to watch. Like, shout out to Red Zone, but once this game comes on, I might just switch over to this game. Depending on how that Jets and Minnesota game pops off, depending on the outcome of that, um, it'll determine what type of mood I'm going to be in after that game. If the Jets win, I'm watching everything. Jets lose, I might just chalk it up for the day and just go to sleep or something like that. Maybe go mow the lawn or something like that. Whatever the case may be. Shout out to LaShawn and Miss Freeman. Shout out to Miss Linda. Hopefully you're getting well. Um, but like I said, this is going to be the game to watch. I see Stephon Diggs. I see him like performing out there, man. I see him saying to CJ Stroud, "Yo, give me the rock. I'm going to do something with the rock. Give it to me." And also, on vice versa, on the other side, I see Josh Allen just throwing that thing. Like, listen, who are you? I don't need you. It's not the plane, it's the pilot. So I got the Texas winning though. I have the Texas winning a hard fought game. Texas 28, Bills 25. Next game up is the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another division game. Um, hey man, listen. Anthony Richardson might be out this game, and he's going to be out in my lineup. I don't have like a sub for him for some odd reason. I don't want to go on that waiver wire. I might just take the L for this week. But anyway, Joe Flacco's out here looking like Joe Kane from the program. And if you don't know you don't know what the program is, the movie. If you don't know, you don't know. Go see it. Go look it up. Look it up on YouTube and watch it or something like that. It's a great movie. Shout out to Joe Kane. And although Indy, on paper, and they're having some issues with Jonathan Taylor with his ankle, for some odd reason, this is one of those, toss it up division games, and I think Indy is going to squeeze out the win, just based on Joe Flacco's leadership, and they're going to get together. So I got the Colts winning by 2. Colts 23, Jaguars 21. Shout out to Dr. Kyle's Colts and the Black Psychologist podcast. Shout out to Dr. J. Dr. J is a Cowboys fan, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. J, we're waiting for you to get on the podcast, bro. Come on. Next game up is the Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. Once again, another division game, which I definitely care about because to be honest with you, I wish both of these teams ended in a tie, for real. I wish both of these teams lost, so that way we can stay number 2 in our division. Now with this game, the Dolphins are going to gain some ground because the Patriots defense is horrible. Also, I heard they're having some issues in the locker room too with Jacoby Brissett. They're saying they're having like some type of mutiny against them or something like that. Like they're not like going with them, which I think is a total farce, basically. But whatever locker room troubles that they're having, like they're going to the media and the performance that's going to spill on the field immediately. So, and unfortunately, the Dolphins are going to get that win. The Dolphins 16-14, and the Dolphins move up in the AFC East standing. Next game up. This is another gem, especially if you like scoring. Um, Cleveland Browns at the Washington Commanders. This is actually a tricky one as well, but not really because the Commanders are actually balling right now. I believe the Cleveland Browns, I think their window has closed in regards to being like that team to take that next step. Now, I think the NFL guys have shown the light on another team, the Washington Commanders. They're going to be scoring at will. Um, Jalen he's going to show off. He's a rookie, so they're not really going to be like totally prepared for him. And you can't really game plan for him because you don't know what most rookies do. I got Cleveland losing this one. I got the Commanders winning by 13. Commanders 27, Cleveland 14. Don't worry, fantasy guys. Nick Chubb is coming back next week. Don't even worry about it. Next game up would be the Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Yeah. And shout out to all the Broncos fans out there that made it to that game, that sloppy, terrible game out there at MetLife. I'm still mad about what happened last Sunday. That shouldn't have happened. But you know what? I think the reason why they lost is because I wore my jersey to church, and I'm supposed to wear that to church, and I think they got me. So, you know, but the Broncos are going to capitalize on the Vegas team that's already in disarray, just due to the Devontae Adams stuff that's going around, the NFL, and it's been pretty much just taking over their entire team during the week. So I don't really think they can concentrate now that Devontae Adams has been open about like I want to get out of here. I'm being traded. There could be a chance that he's either going to Dallas or he's coming to the Jets. Hopefully he comes to the Jets, but I think there might be, that might be subtraction by addition because now we're going to be too loaded at wide receiver. Now we got to figure out what everybody's role is. So I don't know. Watch out for that. I mean, it's a great. I mean, he would be great to have. I mean, great to link up back with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that'll pacify Aaron Rodgers a little bit. Maybe that'll keep him from complaining all the time. So, but whatever, we'll hope for the best. Hopefully, wherever he lands at, hopefully he'll be productive. Shout out to Devontae Adams. Shout out, to everybody. But hopefully, hey, look, if you want to come to MetLife, the door's open for you, good brother. Come on through. Next game up would be the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. This is a straight flush. This is kind of like the seniors versus the freshmen. Purdy in the last couple years, Purdy pretty much owns the Cardinals in all those matchups. So it's going to be a lot of open targets. Brandon Ayuk, of course, George Kittle. Expect Purdy, excuse me, to run up the score. And you know what? I mean, if you have Brock Purdy in your fantasy lineup, he's definitely going to get like 34 points this week just off of touchdowns. He might run one in. He might even catch a touchdown. Who knows? They might get crazy out there. But I will tell you this though. They're not going to go quietly into the night. The Phoenix Cardinals. So expect Kyler Murray to throw like 3 touchdowns, and that's pretty much a wrap. Excuse me. I have the 49ers running up a cool 40 burger, but just under a 40 burger. I got the Cardinals. Excuse me. I have the 49ers scoring 36 and the Cardinals 20. Um, Next game up would be the Green Bay Packers, the Los Angeles Rams. Um, for the Rams, everybody's still hurt. They're still on IR, so the Rams are going to continue to struggle. They're going to probably use their ground attack, but Green Bay is going to take advantage. Jordan Love is back. Hopefully, he should be in rhythm by this Sunday. I got the Packers winning this by 9. Packers 30, Rams 21. And now for the afternoon games, the New York Giants has the Seattle Seahawks. If you didn't get a chance to see that Monday night football game with the Seahawks in Detroit, that game was straight lit. That looked like a pickup game out there. Like as soon as Seattle scored, you know, I'm sorry. As soon as Seattle scored, they scored right back on them. I mean, it just kept going back and forth, back and forth. Detroit, they were just firing back. I mean, if it wasn't Laporta, it was Amase Ra, it was Jameson Williams, and then on the other side for Seattle, it was Metcalf, it was Kenneth Williams III. I mean, it was getting crazy out there. It was Noah Fant out there as well, just getting jiggy out there. You know what? Seattle's going to be looking for some get back from that loss last week, so I definitely feel sorry for that Giants secondary. Definitely better eat your Wheaties because DK Metcalf he's coming with a vengeance. So you might want to like team tackle him for real, for real. For Sunday Night Football. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry with that score. The score for that game. I don't think the Giants score 20. I got Seattle throwing up at least like 34 points. So I'm going to say 33-15 Seattle. For Sunday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys at the Pittsburgh Steelers, another one. This is like, grind versus glamour. I think the only way that Dallas can win is like they have to almost pretty much play damn near perfect. And all the receivers have to be hot. They all got to be hot. They can't drop the ball like maybe no more than 3 times, if that. Um, other than that, if they don't go by that plan, Pittsburgh's going to grind it out on the ground, and they're just going to win ugly. And Cowboys they're used to the blowouts. I don't know if they can kind of grind it out and win ugly like they used to. So I have the Pittsburgh Steelers with the ugly win, 23-20. Shout out to all my Pittsburgh fans out there. Shout out to Dean Marsh. Shout out to Dean Marsh, diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I don't know why, but get well soon. Speedy recovery. Can't wait for you to come back to the office. And for Monday Night Football, the last game for Week 5, the New Orleans Saints at the Kansas City Chiefs. I got the New Orleans Saints with the upset. For some odd reason, like that's it. The 4-0, the undefeated teams are all going down this week. I don't know if it's scripted. I don't know. But I think everyone is waiting for the Chiefs to lose, and then hey, wait, why not lose on Monday Night Football? So everybody can get a shot at you, and then you guys are just going to come back and go on another 5-game winning streak, and then go to the Super Bowl, and who knows what happens from up there. Not to mention a couple added pan shots from Taylor Swift. Every time Kelsey touches the ball, you're going to pan over to Taylor Swift. So we're pretty much already used to that. So, but I have the Saints with the upset. Saints 31, Chiefs 21. And that pretty much it. I just wanted to give you guys like a quick rundown of what's going on this week. Also some predictions. Also what's going on with some of these people like off the court, off the field. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully, I can get a chance to link up with Larry on Sunday if I'm not in church. If not, be sure to like and subscribe when Larry comes on there with the rest of the In the Basement crew, whether it's SB Talk Sports or if it's Dr. Kyle from the Black Psychologist Podcast. Also, like and subscribe to Dr. Kyle's episodes on YouTube and on I believe on Apple Music and everything on Apple. And he has a lot of great topics, a lot of great things to say, just as a psychologist and mental health professional. And yeah, so definitely also tune in to SB Talk Sports. Real takes over fake debates. Also, he has some great topics as well. He's also going on like usually what's trending during the week and stuff like that. Also tune into that, like and subscribe as well. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Shout outs to everybody who tuned in. Shout out to my man B. Shout out to everybody at the run today. Had some great runs today and whatnot. Get ready for the Reach Out and Read. Also, shout out to Tees by Smiley. Shout out to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Shout out to the AKAs as well. Shout out to Trent. She's doing great up there in her master's program. And anyone else. Also, shout out to Dad. Safe travels up there. With the University of Miami. I believe it's the baseball team, if I'm not mistaken, if I've heard from you this morning. So they have safe travels with that, Dad. Other than that, you know the name, you know the number. In the basement, in the basement podcast, let me find the number. Excuse me, I should know this by now. 302-844-8275. There it is. On Instagram, at in underscore the period basement underscore podcast, on YouTube in the basement podcast, on Facebook also in the basement podcast. Sounds so good you gotta name it twice. Other than that, definitely want to send from the podcast my condolences to the Mutombo family, Christopher's family, and the Amos family. Definitely, you were great for all of us in each and every special way. Mutombo on the basketball court and also off the basketball court. Chris Christopherson, great actor, singer, songwriter, also was in the military. Thank you for your service, sir. And the great John Amos, one of the great patriarchs in TV history. Some of them, even I was fortunate. I'm fortunate to have a dad, a mom and dad, as a matter of fact. And just that type of dynamic and structure that James Evans, and that dynamic that James Evans had in the Evans household. I mean, some people are still with it now. I mean, you can't do it as like demonstrative as James Evans used to do it, but most people, most old school dads are on that type of blueprint. As a matter of fact, there's a James Evans in every dad. I think we have to go back to the James Evans school of butt kicking and discipline, for our kids, so that way our kids are not so much off the hook all the time. So, but that's just my little 2 cents. So, just want to say, everybody have a great weekend. Be safe out there. If you're not doing anything, make sure you get your fantasy lineups situated. Shout out to the Gridiron Gurus. Shout out to the In the Basement Fantasy Football 24, and also shout out to the Goodfellas Fantasy Football League as well. I'm 0-5. So, listen, you guys have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Be careful out there and enjoy. Later, y'all.